Hello and welcome to iBuzz. I'm your host Nosheen Bukhari, bringing you the best entertainment news from showbiz world. First things first, let me quickly take you to the top stories of the day. Eurovision 2021. This year's acts are aiming for a COVID-safe contest. Netflix unveils new Bridgerton spinoff, All Hail the Queen. Robert De Niro details excruciating pain after getting injured on set. Miley Cyrus to complete 3 projects for NBC Universal under a deal. And Angelina Jolie says she relates to her broken, messed up character in her new film. Netflix recently came forward with plans to start a new spin-off series dedicated to Bridgerton's Queen Charlotte. The news was initially announced over on the company's official Twitter account, and it read, "All Hail the Queen." And now, moving to the top story of the day. To discuss this further, we have James Barker, who is an entertainment journalist and film critic. James, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
And then we have Sam Cooke, the entertainment presenter and journalist. Sam, welcome to the show.
Hi, Nosheen. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. So, James, do you predict that Queen Charlotte is the right choice, despite the fact that there were several other interesting characters for the spin-off to work on?
Well, I think so, yeah. I mean, I think Queen Charlotte is obviously quite a popular character by herself for the show. And we're going to see some of the younger versions of some of the other characters as well. So I think Lady Danbury's been listed as being involved with the spin-off.
Right.
I think there's potentially some fascinating stories there. The historical Queen Charlotte was a very interesting sort of character. So she was almost origin to Britain. So she was almost in charge of Britain when her husband, George III, went mad. And she ended up having conflicts with the Prince of Wales, who's the actual regent, so that they eventually reconciled. She was involved with lots of important historical characters, so Marie Antoinette. She was an early patron of Mozart. She had lots of indirect influence. She may have been partly responsible for Britain getting into a war, actually, at one point. So that kind of fits in Bridgerton's theme of women accomplishing their ends through these sort of clever indirect means, because she didn't have any formal power, but she had lots of indirect influence.
Right.
And also, there's a sort of a fascinating story there, because Bridgerton's an alternative universe where there's less racial prejudice, because Queen Charlotte was black in this version. So,
and a special feature for this season.
Yes, yeah. So it's an interesting, potentially an interesting sort of alternative history story you can tell in that situation. So there's lots of big personalities they can include, lots of big storylines they can do. So it'd be very good. Yeah.
Right. And James, talking about season 2, what is your take on the changing dynamics of characters this time? Because the last season had a pretty happy and sort of complete ending. So do you think that the characters have the ability to surprise their fans by developing further this time?
I think the point of Bridgerton is it's about the whole Bridgerton family. So even if the main storyline from last season is concluded, then then there's still plenty of scope to do different storylines with the other characters. Speaking of the female audience, I think they're all going to miss the Duke of Hastings, based on the discussions I've had.
Yeah, that was quite a bad news for us, though.
Yeah, so it seems to have been not well received that he's not going to be in it. But yeah, it's a big, interesting family, and there's lots of different storylines you could do, I think.
Right. And Sam, do you expect any surprising element for the fans this time?
Yes, I think there's going to be lots of surprising elements. Well, the last series surprised us all when we were watching, kind of the fact that it did have that attitude to London Regency era, but then also this series so far, from all the announcements, I've been surprised every step of the way. So firstly, I'm surprised that Roger Jean Page is not returning to the series, but I think, to be honest, I think there's a reason behind that. I think that his career is starting to blossom. He's going to start getting much bigger roles than Bridgerton, and he's going to be looked at for films such as Black Panther and films such as the Bond series. People are looking at him as a potential contender for that.
Right. And James, Netflix is pretty proud of catching 82 million eyeballs for Bridgerton exclusively. However, do you think that just in case, we're just predicting that if the spin-off doesn't come up to the mark, is it going to cost the viewership for season 2?
I mean, I think the spin-off is supposed to be a more kind of limited series, so it's kind of an opportunity to explore some different themes potentially, and maybe reach a different kind of. I mean, obviously there'll be the core Bridgerton fan base there, but it's an opportunity to reach the a different audience as well. So I don't know. I think it depends. I think it really depends. But I'm sure Netflix will be hoping that the spin-off is just as successful as the original series.
Right. And Sam, do you think that this is going to drag it into a danger zone, just in case if it doesn't, fulfill the expectations of fans?
There's a potential for that. I mean, when Reggie Jean-Page left his role, I looked on Twitter and I saw ridiculous outpouring of kind of, oh my God, from fans like, oh, I can never watch this program again. So I think that there has been that element with Bridgerton where people have told other people and other people have told other people. And also, you've got to look at the success of spin-offs in general. Take in Britain, we've got Doctor Who, and Torchwood was a spin-off of Doctor Who, and that was a spin-off that actually worked, and obviously you do get the occasional spin-off that works. So who knows? I mean, I think Netflix need to kind of push the fact that it is a spin-off of Bridgerton and really push that fact, because otherwise I personally wouldn't know that it's a spin-off of Bridgerton simply from the title, All Hail the Queen. But who knows? I think it's too early to say as well, because we are currently still in the pandemic, and who knows what filming when filming will take place for this program. So wait and see.
Right. And James, normally what we witness is that spin-offs are released after good 3 or 4 seasons, when there is a sort of connection and attachment built between the viewers and the characters. Do you think that it was too soon for Bridgerton to come up with a spin-off, and that too for Queen Charlotte?
I think it's. I mean, as Sam mentioned, it's one of the most popular Netflix series ever. So, I mean, I think you can probably say that the audience has built quite a strong connection with it already, in a way. And I think to kind of go back on his point about it being a spin-off, and them having to emphasize that it's part of the main Bridgerton universe as well. I mean, I think it does fit in with a lot of the themes of Bridgerton, which is kind of powerful women, and even the title kind of reflects that. It's called All Hail the Queen.
Right. So James, can we talk about the amazing innovation in music that was introduced in Bridgerton, alongside with the concept of inclusivity in a very different way? Do you expect the same pace of these two prominent features in the spin-off?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone thought it was interesting that Bridgerton did sort of classical covers of pop songs, didn't it? So that was an interesting sort of feature of it. I mean, it's kind of a signature element of the series, so certainly that's something that's probably they'll continue going forward, I would imagine. And when you're talking about increasing diversity, I mean, as I say, that could be almost the theme of the whole show in a way, because it's kind of explaining the backstory of the Bridgerton universe and why there's less racial prejudice in the UK in this sort of alternative version. So that's a really interesting story, and that could be something which they could base the whole series on. But I mean, they might prefer to do something different with it. But yeah, it could be very interesting, I think.
Yeah, Sam, your take on this?
I agree. I think that they will continue to use those tropes of almost making pop songs classical and because it was so popular, and like James said, it was an integral element of the program. But no, I think they'll continue to do that, and I think that they will, because that is one of Bridgerton's main focus points, kind of the fact that it is culturally aware, and it does kind of utilize characters from all different ethnic backgrounds. So I think that it will continue to use that. If it doesn't continue to use those particular tropes and themes, I think that it may become a little bit less successful. So certainly one to keep an eye on.
Right. And James, do you think the quest for Lady Whistledown, is it going to be still the part of spin-off, or it will only cause monotony, or it will help develop the story more? What is your thought on this?
I mean, I think it could be. As I say, I think because it's about Queen Charlotte, that could be about sort of larger themes and politics. So the Lady Whistledown plot might not be as emphasized because they're dealing with larger issues. But I think that's one of the things people really liked about the first series as well. This kind of and it's obviously the narration of the series comes from Lady Whistledown, technically speaking. But also there's not so much of a mystery now because the identity's been revealed. So maybe it won't be quite as intriguing going forward. I mean, I think probably that's more something they would save for the second series rather than the spin-off, in my point of view, because I think the spin-off is supposed to be more about the origin of Queen Charlotte and
right.
Yeah,
and,
so probably this is before she was operating, I would imagine.
Right. Sam, do you think that there is some room for this character to be developed more, or you think that they should just, end it and come up with something more innovative this time?
I think that they will. I agree with James there. I think that why would they continue that story in the spin-off? Something that has happened before. I don't think that they'll do that. I think that they might sort of, like I said, sow the seeds for that for the future episodes, but I doubt that they will put too much focus on it. And I think it would be nice to kind of see Queen Charlotte have her own story in it and learn a little bit more about why she's like the way she is. Right. So yeah, I think it will be entirely about Queen Charlotte, and to be honest, I hope it is.
Right. James and Sam, it was lovely having you on board. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was James Barker and Sam Cook with their views on the new spin-off on Bridgerton. Now moving to the other story details of the day. This year's Eurovision acts are aiming for a COVID-safe contest. It's a feeling echoed by many of the 39 acts competing at the world's most popular live music event, which is back after being cancelled last year. Eurovision 2021 is one of the most high-profile live events to take place in the pandemic so far, presenting a logistical challenge that has to balance public safety with the desire for entertainment. A full-scale show was ruled out earlier this year, but cancelling again was never a consideration, according to Martin Osterdahl, the Eurovision's executive supervisor. Eurovision's green light meant a second shot for many of last year's acts. Of the 39 countries taking part, 26 have rescheduled their 2020 entry. Robert De Niro may have suffered a leg injury during the making of Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. But for one, it was thankfully not on set, and for another, the Academy Award winner took it like a good sport. De Niro's injury happened in Oklahoma, leading him to fly back to New York City on May 13th, where he sought medical attention. The two-time Oscar-winning actor was in Oklahoma filming Martin Scorsese's massive Apple-backed Western, Killers of the Flower Moon. American singer and actor Miley Cyrus has announced a music concert after the pop icon has inked a wide-ranging agreement with NBC Universal Television and Streaming. Under the deal, the 28-year-old pop singer will not only develop but also perform in projects for NBCU. Under the pact, Miley Cyrus production company Hopetown Entertainment will develop scripted and unscripted projects for the NBCU outlets, including the Universal Kids and Peacock. The singer is required to accomplish 3 projects for the NBCU, of which the first one will be a concert. Hollywood star Angelina Jolie is shedding light on her new film titled Those Who Wish Me Dead, and the way it is reflective of her own life as well. Chatting with an Australian magazine, the 45-year-old Maleficent actor said her character in the film is closer to her than some of other characters she had played. The movie Those Who Wish Me Dead is Angelina Jolie's own life history, and we hope that this time Angelina Jolie will be an Oscar nominee for this. That is it from the newsroom. We will be right back after a quick short break. Don't go anywhere and stay tuned. Welcome back. Being a fan and a listener, the beautiful and unforgettable connection built with a music band is no less than a relationship. If a band breaks up, the fans are equally hurt and devastated. In this segment, we will discuss the heartbreaking causes of some of the most famous bands that the fans never expected to see parting ways. To discuss this further, we have Tipu Sultan, who is a musician. Tipu, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
So Tipu, what are the reasons? I mean, we know there are enormous reasons, but what are those significant reasons that actually caused the bandmates to call it a quit, despite the fact that they are super famous, they're doing a great job, but when they call it a quit, they don't care about it. What could be the possible enormous reasons behind that?
Well, it's usually different artistic directions that different band members want to take. It's sometimes a financial thing. In our country, I think it's mostly been financial. Mm-hmm. It's when the frontman starts thinking that he's the only significant person in the band. It's not really a band, it's just a singer with a bunch of backing musicians. And this mindset has kind of caused a lot of potentially good bands break up. But usually in the West or places where all band members have or when you talk about bands in which all members are equally contributing to the artistic creation. In that case, it's usually different artistic directions that different band members want to take. So
so you think that there is a creative difference?
Exactly. A difference of artistic pursuit is going to cause somebody to go in a different direction or want to go in a different.
Right. And how much does the compatibility play its role in forming or deforming a band?
Well, it's a very important part. Usually bands get together. They enjoy playing music together. They have the same kind of musical vision. They enjoy the same kind of music and they enjoy making the same kind of music.
So Tipu, of course, most of them haven't seen it coming, but do you think that for the love of music and their name, what sort of measures these bands can take that can, reduce tensions between the members rather than calling it a quit and, ending things there and then?
It's really not possible. I think nobody can predict what's going to come in the future. It's just like a relationship, right? When people get married, they obviously don't plan on things going sour, but life happens, and you really can't predict whether a band is going to stay together or not. You have bands that have been together since the 70s, and you have bands that that just put out one album and then never get together again. There's just so much bitterness. So it's life. It's very unpredictable. You can't say. You couldn't really take any preemptive measures to ensure things stay happy and
but we do see examples. I mean, there had been a lot of examples, just like U2, Coldplay, with not very fine singers, but then they're very intact and still doing wonders. What is your take on these bands, coming up as motivational figures and as examples for other bands?
Well, in the case of U2, they've been they've known each other since their school days, and they've been very good friends. So I guess the relationship runs far deeper than just the music. They didn't get together for music because of course they did, but they were already very good friends and they have known each other all their lives. So it's far deeper than just the music. And there are other bands that you see that keep evolving and keep putting out music with different incarnations. One player will leave after a while, they'll recruit another one, but they'll keep putting out music with that same name. This has happened a lot in the case of some metal bands and heavy rock and the more extreme forms of music out there, especially in Scandinavia, in Finland, in Norway. Some of these bands have continuously been reinventing themselves with a different lineup. But it all boils down to what it is that you want to do with your life and how long you want to keep doing it. Some people just get bored and they they're like, they just need to stop. So it can be rocky.
Right. And
So-
Tipu, you being from a band yourself, I mean, what exclusive measures would you look up to keep the band intact?
I guess if it's not a one-person effort, it's everybody being on board. As far as the band philosophy goes, everyone having the same musical aspirations and hopes. Everyone wanting to create the same kind of music and even if the band evolves musically, as in changes direction, then all the members have to be on board with that change in direction. Everybody has to want to create a new direction for the band. If people keep thinking that way and stay harmonious, there's no bickering, there's no financial disputes about who's getting what part of the royalties, and there's a happy relationship going on in the band will stay together.
Absolutely.
It's more or less guaranteed.
In certain cases, people, we have also witnessed that certain bands, when they break, the lead singer takes charge and he's still leading it on his own solo with the same name. What is your take on this? I mean, how do you see this? I mean, a lead singer robbing the entire band. What is your take on that?
My take on that is that, I don't know of this happening abroad anywhere or in the West, in other countries, because most bands get together with some kind of common ground, on common footing, whereas in our country, a lot of times it's a singer gets a bunch of session musicians to back him, right? And the singer will go on regardless. And it's usually in our country, you don't see too many bands. Now you have some great bands like Takatak and this newer generation of people who are all musicians and they've gotten together on a common platform. Otherwise, first you just hear names in Pakistan of music like Ali Zafar and Atif Aslam, and you've never heard Atif Aslam band. It's just Atif Aslam, right? So the front man, the singer, usually has no. It doesn't matter to the front man who's backing him up. It could be anyone.
Right. So, Tipu, tell us, which great bands would you wish to see reuniting now and why?
Well, obviously, I talked about Dream Theater. I'd love to see them with Mike Portnoy again. But of course, Mike Mangini has played some great music, so it's not so critical anymore. I would have loved to see Jason Newsted back with Metallica, but Robert Trujillo is he's been there a while, and there's been so much bitterness, so many beans have been spilt about why Jason Newsted left Metallica in the first place, that I don't want them to get anymore.
But rumor has it that Metallica is, thinking of coming back. So yeah, let's hope for the best. Tipu, thank you very much indeed. It was a pleasure having you on board.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
That was musician Tipu Sultan with his thoughts on breaking bands. Well, that was a good one. Anyways, that's all from the newsroom. We will be back next time with some more interesting content. Don't forget to share your feedback on the social media link mentioned down below. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care and goodbye.